Have you ever wondered why certain days on the calendar feel so significant? Maybe it's the anniversary of a famous speech, the date of a groundbreaking invention, or even the moment a cultural trend first began. History isn't just a subject in school. It's alive in our calendars, shaping who we are and how we live today. Welcome to HowExpert Tip of the Day, where we bring you real-world tips from our how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. If you want to learn even more in-depth strategies, examples, and techniques on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to 365 plus days in history, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. History, at its core, is the record of human experience. It's a collection of stories, events, triumphs, struggles, and turning points that together explain how the world became what it is today. And far from being dry facts in a textbook, history is personal. It impacts our identities, influences our decisions, and often repeats itself in cycles we can learn from if we pay attention. In this video, we'll explore what history really is, why it matters, and 5 key ideas that can transform how you think about the past. Let's dive in. The first big idea is that history is more than just dates. It's context. When people say they don't like history, they often mean they struggled with memorizing names and years in school. But history is not a list. It's a narrative. Imagine trying to understand a movie by only looking at the timestamps without watching the scenes. That's what dates without context are like. When you learn that July 20th, 1969 wasn't just a date, but the day humans first walked on the moon, suddenly it comes alive. That moment symbolizes innovation, risk, and the triumph of imagination over limitation. Remembering history this way makes it less about memorization and more about connection. The second key point is that history shapes identity. Nations, communities, and individuals often look to history to explain who they are. For example, the US celebrates the 4th of July not just as an old document signing, but as a symbol of independence and self-determination. Families do the same. Your grandparents' stories of migration, hardship, or success help shape your own sense of belonging and resilience. Without these stories, identity can feel rootless. That's why history is not just academic, it's personal. The third important idea is that history teaches lessons, if we're willing to learn them. You've probably heard the famous saying, "Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it." While not every moment in history repeats exactly, patterns often do. Economic booms and busts, the rise and fall of empires, the struggle for rights and freedoms. These cycles appear throughout time. For instance, studying the Great Depression helps economists and leaders understand how to respond to financial crises today. On a personal level, learning about past social movements can give inspiration and strategy to current ones. The lesson is clear. History is a guidebook filled with road signs, warning lights, and maps for our journey forward. The fourth point is that history is global and interconnected. Too often we hear history told from one perspective. But in reality, every event links to others around the world. The invention of printing in Europe was influenced by earlier woodblock printing in Asia. The discovery of the New World reshaped not only Europe, but also Africa and the Americas in profound ways. Even today, we can see how one event in a single country can ripple across the globe. Thinking of history as interconnected makes it more dynamic. It shows that no culture or nation exists in isolation. The fifth key idea is that history is happening right now. We often imagine history as something frozen in the past, written about in dusty books. But every day adds a new page. The device you're watching this video on, the events unfolding in your city, the cultural shifts happening this year, All of these will one day be history. When you realize this, it changes how you live your daily life. Suddenly, you're not just a consumer of history, you're a participant in it. To illustrate how these points come together, let's look at a quick story. Think about September 11th, 2001. For those who lived through it, the date is unforgettable. But even for younger generations, it has become a historical marker. On one level, it's a date. On another, it's part of identity. The way it reshaped national security, global politics, and personal stories. It taught lessons about vulnerability, resilience, and global interconnectedness. And of course, it's a reminder that history doesn't stop. It's recorded in real time, shaping policies and lives 2 decades later. That's the power of seeing history not as distant, but as deeply woven into our everyday reality. So, what's the big picture? When you see history as more than a list of dates, you start to view it as a living story that provides context, builds identity, teaches lessons, connects the world, and unfolds in the present moment. Understanding these ideas makes history less about looking back and more about moving forward with awareness. Here's the mic drop. History isn't the past. It's the lens through which we understand the present and create the future. For even more tips, techniques, and practical examples on this topic, check out HowExpert Guide to 365 plus days in history, available at Amazon, Audible, Barnes & Noble, Google, Kobo, Apple, Spotify, and all major bookstores as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z. Visit howexpert.com to learn more.